Good morning, my YouTube family. My name is Diane, aka Dr. Di, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you've been here before, thanks for rocking with your girl. I know my videos can be a bit lengthy, but I want to give you guys a tremendous thank you to my friends, my family. You guys have been very positive with the feedback that you're providing, even when you're telling me, hey, you should move the camera up or whatever it is, or talk slower or whatever it is. I really love the fact that you guys are actually watching my video and that you're able to connect with the information I'm providing and relate to it. Do y'all like my dress? It's a dress. um it's springtime. Happy spring. But I hope to always motivate and inspire each and every one of you guys with the information I provide. Now, we all know, if you don't know and you're new, I am in a transitional period of my life. And I'm walking in my purpose during my transition. And part of that is for me to speak my truth and talk about my past experience and just talking about things that I have realized about myself. And today we're going to get personal. We're going to talk about my prior marriage and what led me to where I am today, right? So, just a quick timeline. I got married at 24. I had my first child right before I was 25. I had my second child at 28, and I got divorced at 30. So that's a quick timeline. So from 2012 to 2018 was really a busy, hectic year for me because I had to learn a lot about myself. During that time, I did go through postpartum depression. I went through just learning who I am and trying to be someone for another person that I was not, and trying to mold myself into something that I potentially wasn't ready for because I didn't love myself enough to love someone else, right? And I didn't have the tools that I have now that I could have used before. So, with that being said, I went through a very hard time in my life, not as dramatic as other people have went through. But when I initially got married, it's very true when the saying goes that women mature quicker than men. It's true. When I got married, I got pregnant really quickly with my first child, and I didn't have the support that I needed to have. Now, one, it's important to understand part of my story is that I grew up without my father being there. Two, I did not have the example of what a strong marriage looked like. Three, I didn't grow up in a father-mother household, right? So, with all that being said, my perception of what I thought was a healthy relationship or should be a healthy relationship was based on things that I saw on TV and movies and soap operas and different things like that. I would take bits and pieces of things that I would see and just clash them together and say, hey, this is what I want my life to look like. Now, my potential reality in my head was not my significance other potential reality in his head at the time, right? Now, disclaimer, this is not to bash anybody. This is to talk about me, myself, and I, and what I have learned about myself, right? Because everyone has a potential of being the best person they can be for themselves as well as for their significant other, but it depends on if you're that right person for them. So, going through my relationship and being married and being a mother and working and school and things like that, it was very hectic for me. Now, at my transitional time, before I even knew I was in a transitional period, I had a lot going on and a lot of pressure, and I did not know how to communicate that, and I did not know how to talk about that, and I would bash my significant other and say things to him that was very rude and disrespectful. I did not know how to potentially to talk to a man like I should have. I was speaking to him at the time like he was one of my homegirls or a person off the street or however. My feelings, what I felt at the time were true. They were my feelings, but I did not know how to relay that in the way that I should have relayed it. So, and I'm not going to go into any kind of personal, like real life example, but when things start to progress in our marriage, things were not changing. They were changing for me. I was changing as a woman. And I was learning more about myself and learning more how to become a mother and how to become a wife and how to just be me, right? So I was getting up. I was, doing things that they always told us wives should do. Cook, clean, satisfy, and tend to your man, your child, and home. That's what you're supposed to do. So I was doing all that, but I was not. I was potentially getting burnt out from all of that and not having the support that I should have, right? And in my head, I would say different things like, "Hey, could you just take?" At the time, like now we're fast forwarding timeline, you guys. My daughter's now older; she can walk, she can talk, this and that, right? Hey, could you take her to the park so I can go ahead and clean up? Or I just need a nap. Could you take care of her? I did not have that support, and I don't know if he understood that because maybe I didn't communicate that. So now fast forward, we are years in. My daughter is now 4. She's thriving. I'm pregnant with our next child. And we had lack of communication. And I read this book called The 5 Love Languages. If you guys have not read that book, go ahead and read it. And it's important that you read it and your spouse read it. Maybe you guys can do couple time and read it together. You read a page, he read it, however you guys want to work it. So I read the 5 love languages and I said, you know what, Diane, talk to this man in a way that he understands. He will understand where you're coming from. So I read the book back and front and I was like, okay, this is his love languages. He loves the touch, the feeling, the I love you, that words of affirmation and things like that. So it became different for me because instead of me yelling, hey, you clean the dishes, but you didn't take out the trash. Why wouldn't you do that? And, constantly barking at him. I would say things like, oh, babe, thank you for cleaning the kitchen. I really appreciate that. Do you think you can take out the trash for me? Or, hey, babe, I really love that you clean the kitchen. Thank you for saving time. Like, literally, that's how I would talk. Thank you for saving time for me. I tied up the trash. Do you think on your way out in the morning you could take the trash out? This is where we failed. He did not understand my love language. And my love language has a lot to do with my background and how I grew up. I don't like to be touched. I'm not that woman who wants to walk and hold hands and to kiss all the time. I'm not that woman that you need to call and be like, hey, babe, I love you, what you doing? And then an hour later, hey, babe. No, we're all on just strict schedule. We're busy. Send a text. Hey, babe, I'm thinking about you. I love you. See you tonight. Boom. I'm that woman that I love for you to do things for me. Simple things. Very simple. Cook for me when you see that it's busy. You see I'm up and I'm, doing laundry and things like that. Don't even say a word. Just pick up a mop and mop the kitchen and mop the bathroom. It's just things like that is what makes me like, oh. And it's different for a lot of people. So I, had to sit here and say, hey, we're not communicating. We're not on the same level. This is where I feel like we should be. And a lot of our communication was just a one-way street because I was learning how to communicate to him. And he was already sheltered and already on guard for the way that I treated him in the beginning of our marriage. It was just like, okay, I don't want to do this. I just want to stay in my little hole, stay behind my glass, and just do what I need to do in order to survive her. And, that's how I felt, like you were surviving me. And I say it all the time. Before me and my spouse got together, I said to him, I'm a very, very difficult person to be with. You have to be able to handle me. And I'm very raw cut, And I don't want to say I'm manly like, but I'm not very sensitive. I'm not very, I'm going to cry. I'm not that person. I'll be that person behind closed doors. Like I would literally go in the bathroom and cry, but you're not going to see that from me. I'm very like military, And I had to learn to soften up and allow him to take the cape off and just relax and allow him to be the man that he should be. But at the time of me getting ready to do that and, starting to do things I should have done, like, you're getting up 5 o'clock in the morning going to work. Let me get up. Let me make you an egg sandwich. Let me make you some coffee. Let me, make you breakfast so you could go. Let me make you a lunch. Let me do things like that. I was doing that. And, I did it a lot to the point where I got burned out because I was not receiving and you weren't doing simple things. And I'm like, hey, let's sit down. Let's talk things out. Let's communicate. Let's create a plan. Like, I love to write things down. Let's do this. Let's do that. I'm a very strong believer of open communication, raw, open communication. And when I say raw, it's not to say like, oh, babe, you ain't doing this. You ain't shit. You ain't da-da-da-da. It's to say that, hey, babe, I'm very unhappy right now. These are the reasons why I am unhappy. These are the things I think you should change. Let's compromise. How can you make these changes in order to allow us to work and to gel together? We had this conversation over and over and over again. Like, literally, we kept having these conversations and nothing was happening. And there was at one point I was like, maybe we need to see a therapist because maybe me saying it was not getting through. Maybe somebody else needs to say it. And at that time, it was like, no, I don't want to go to therapy. He just didn't want to do that. Okay, fine. Let's go back to our book. Like, we had our own book. The Martin book, we had that book. We wrote down, like, that book had so many lists in it. The list. It had so many lists in it of things that I needed to be changed. And I felt like, for me, this is basic relationship 101. Basic things that you should be doing as a man to, one, make yourself better, and to, two, please your family, right? But what was basic to me wasn't basic to him. And that's where I was missing that communication. And there's only so much you can do. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I can't do it anymore. I can't keep trying to communicate to someone and you have this wall and I'm constantly hitting your wall and you expect me to stay right behind your wall and just be okay with it. Excuse me. And that's not something that I could do. I'm not going to say, oh, he's not cheating. He's, at the end of the day, I felt like I had a roommate. Not a supportive spouse. I didn't feel like I was in a partnership. And to me, a marriage is a partnership. At the end of the day, I need someone who I can depend on when I let myself down. I need someone who can have my back. I need someone who just, at the end of the day, I want to feel safe and secure. And when I am lacking that safeness and security within myself, I need to be able to have that person that's over me to say, hey, don't worry, I got you. I did not have that. And that's what led to a divorce, It was just simple things. And honestly, I feel like, and this in my head, this is what I love, and this is what, I want from a significant other. I want a man, you guys, not a boy in a man's body. I don't need somebody who's worrying about popping bottles and going out with a friend and having the biggest earring on your ear, or the newest car, or the flashiest clothes. None of that, because at the end of the day, that's all material. That material can go away. Who are you and what are you bringing to sustain your family, and what are you teaching your children if you do have children? And because I didn't grow up to see it, I only know what I expect, and what I grew up seeing is not something that I want to have, right? So I know what I don't want, but at that time I didn't know what I wanted. I kept saying, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. But at the end of the day, what did I actually want? And that's something I was not clear on. And that during that separation time, I was like, okay, this really has to lead to divorce, because truly I'm unhappy. And I believe he was unhappy, even though he didn't want to say it, because I asked multiple times, I know I'm not making you happy. I know that you can find happiness somewhere else. Even though at the time we had 2 children together now, And he was just like, no, I'm happy, I'm fine. And I believe, truly believe, people stick with people for convenience. I'm not going to be anyone's convenience, and I don't want you to be my convenience. I'm not sticking in a relationship because you're convenient to me. And I don't want you to stick in a relationship because I'm convenient to you. And that's how it felt. Like we were just roommates, we were convenient. And, it was really, really depressing for me. And I was very unhappy. So, with that being said, what I look for in a significant other, and I want you guys to please comment below and tell me if this is something that you want. I am definitely looking for somebody who is ambitious, who has morals, who is loyal, who understands what it is to be a man, and who knows when it is okay to step down and when it's okay to step up. And what I mean by that is when it's okay for you to, be a macho man, and when it's okay for you to say, you know what, let me step back. She has that. Let me give her time to shine. I need that person, because at the end of the day, at that time, I did not know how to talk to a man. And now I do. I know how to. And we all have egos. So at some point in your relationship, you're going to be stroking your other person's ego. Whether saying, yeah, babe, you could do it. Go ahead and get that degree, or go finish that diploma, or go get that license, or, you know what, babe, I believe in your business. Let's sit here. Let's focus on a plan. You're stroking his or her ego to let them know they can definitely do what they want to do. And at that time, I didn't have that support because, I'm a very ambitious person. I'm a very go-getting person. So I have a lot of goals and ambitions that I want to see in life, and a lot of different things that I'm doing. And I didn't have that person to back me up when times where it's 8 o'clock at night and all I want to do is get into bed and sleep. You roll up sleeping next to me. It's not going to help me. I leave you to say, get your ass up and go get on that computer and study, or go open that book and do what you need to do. We have goals we're trying to meet. And that's what I'm looking for in a significant other. One who could actually sit here and be like, babe, lay down. Let me stroke your feet. Let me rub your feet. Let me stroke your hair. You need to relax. And one who could say, get up. You got to go study. Go pick up that book. Go fill out that application. Whatever that situation is. In any relationship, if you have not read the 5 love languages, and I'm going to put the link below in the author and everything below for you. If you have not read that book, definitely go read that book. Even if you're married or not, read that book, because it will allow you to understand your love language of your significant other, as well as the love language for yourself. We all speak different love languages. You can have 1 love language, you can have 3. We all speak different love languages. But how are we communicating with each other to, 1, love ourselves, and to 2, love our significant other without losing ourselves? How are we making our significant other, or adding to their happiness? And at the end of the day, it's just about being happy. It's about communicating. It's about compromising. And it's just about understanding yourself. And if you don't understand yourself, you're not going to understand someone else. So thank you for watching this video. If you have not done so already, like I said before, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment below. And yeah, that's just a little personal story about me and why I got...
Something went wrong. Try again in a few seconds.
Google scared me. All right, you guys. Peace, love, and happiness. Talk to you later.